Aloha, my name is Kawai Pua'alo, and as a Hawaiian living here on the mainland, referring to John's comment about Akaka, not asking Hawaiians, and then when you mentioned that, you referred to the Hawaiians in Hawaii, and that's wonderful. However, there are many of us that live here on the continent, and so how will our voices be heard as well if we are to be included, because our ancestors were in Hawaii at the time of the overthrow and all of that. And I ask this question because there are several of us in this room who have gone back to Hawaii on several occasions on issues dealing with, Native Hawaiian government issues and that sort of thing in the past few years. And we are not welcomed very well because basically we live here on the mainland. That is our choice for whatever reason, as Randy has stated before. Whatever our reasons for living here, this is where we have chosen to live. But just because I cross the Pacific Ocean, does not mean that my Hawaiian koko goes out. So when I go home and I meet with all of this, vituperative language, behavior that is not becoming to a Kanaka Maoli, to another person, Hawaiian, not Hawaiian, whatever. It affects me in that as I live here. I have no children. So as a auntie of the community, your children are my children. So whatever it is I'm arguing for, fighting for, it's for our nation to go on, for our people to go on. So as I try to resolve this when I go home and we meet with all of this anger as to, why do you come over here? All you do is you come and you eat poi and you eat our poke. Yes, and I support your economy when I come. And I take my family shopping because when I come, they don't necessarily have the means. And when I go home, these are the things I want to do. So as we talk about doing this, it's like when you say that, the Akaka bill, nobody asked people in Hawaii. Well, what about us also? And I appreciate your coming this evening and the different views that you presented, because these are not views that I have necessarily heard in this manner before. And so I am grateful for that, because I can put two brain cells together and come up with a thought. And so I thank you so very much for that. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Our time is about up. And
I think she asked the question about what, what happens. What does happen? I mean, this is a good forum. Is it the first? Is it the first of many? And ultimately, here's a question we should all ask: do you need people from Hawaii to come and tell you what's happening? That's a question, or is it because you're Hawaiian too, and these things affect you? And I think sometimes it's just as hard for somebody who lives on Lanai or Molokai to get to where everybody else is organizing and protesting. In terms of comparisons, they don't have that much money. It's hard for them to go and express themselves, but they do in one way or another, or they find out. And maybe what's really needed is that you need to actually have your own sovereignty leadership here too, or sovereignty or independence or self-determination, leadership, not just people waiting for people to come and we need to be more cooperative, but there needs to be leadership everywhere. And I don't see that it can work unless you have leadership here that wants to move you and move you toward that understanding. And if that's the case, then this would be an incredible addition to the movement. And it's a really good movement. It really is. I mean, it's a thing that really, otherwise I can't imagine what Hawaii would look like today.
I'd like to say something. Mahalo also for coming. We appreciate all that we've heard tonight. Aloha, Uncle. And you're right. There is a community up here that moves. There is a community of leaders up here that move. That we appreciate the information we get from Hawaii. What we don't see, though, is a resolve in Hawaii. What are Hawaiians in Hawaii doing to become that one voice that leads us as a people, There's so much fighting going on in Hawaii that we hear, we see ourselves. And Kawaiupu is right. I was one of the people that went, there are other people in this room that did the same thing. And we would go home for coalition meetings and we were treated like total outsiders, you know, totally disrespected. Probably more Hawaiian than the Hawaiian sitting in the room, in the same room as us. But that wasn't really, we went very humbly, very cordially, and by the time the coalition meetings were over, we were well recognized and well accepted. But it took a lot of effort on our part, and we do have leaders up here, and we appreciate you coming to share the information with us anytime that you can, because that just brings everything forward for us and makes everything really in our face. But there is an effort up here to continue to fight for Native Hawaiians. And we really appreciate, but there is no resolve. We have not seen Hawaiians in Hawaii fix the problems that they're doing. And we hear your concerns. And how do we help you here on the continent? We've offered our aloha and our assistance to do whatever we can, because we realize we have a greater congressional delegation than the state of Hawaii. And how do we support you? We've asked for that. We've not gotten the answer. And so your coming here is a real blessing to us, and we appreciate that. But we have offered our hand to Hawaii through the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, through several other organizations like Aluliki and those other organizations. How do we on the continent help Hawaiians move their efforts forward if what we're seeing is a lot of fighting going on in Hawaii? So what is the resolve? You bring us wonderful information, but how do you fix it? How do you make this right? Because it's not, at least not in our eyes.
We would simply say, I'd simply say what we said before. The fighting is because of the confusion, and the fighting is because the United States is still in denial. And so we have to keep working these things out, and it isn't going to happen overnight. So, you know, it's good. You don't have to wait for us to know where we're going. You have a right to move things too. You know, you do. You're related to the same ancestors we are. You have the same kuleana, really. I'm sorry you had a bad experience with the coalition meetings, but fortunately, I wasn't involved with that.